Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ZNT Wrestling Show, where we talk all amazing and bad things wrestling. And today we're going to be talking about a Royal Rumble match that was apparently not ruined by Shane McMahon from reading the news. So
yes, we're going to be talking about one of the better known events, but not one of the better known Rumble matches. This is the Royal Rumble 2000, where we were talking a lot, and a lot of stars were on the shelf for this show. Not a lot of star power in this Royal Rumble. Just to get that out of the way right now, we're going to be seeing a lot of mid-carders, a lot of tag teams pulling double duty tonight, because they would be in their featured match, and then immediately they'd be showing up in the Royal Rumble match like an hour later.
Yes. So just to preface that point, again, thank you all to everybody who participated in the Retro Royal Rumble poll on Twitter. That was a lot of fun. This was the show you guys voted in, so your wish is our command. And glad to do it, because this is an excellent show from top to bottom. And we will be doing another retro poll next month, because ain't no way we're talking about the Blood Money show. But hey, if you guys are new to the channel, I also talk cinema over here on the regular. Smash that subscribe button as hard as you possibly can, of course. As hard as you possibly can. But in any case, it should be a fun show to talk about. And just backtracking onto Tomas's point, Stone Cold Steve Austin just was run over by Rikishi, as it would be revealed at the end of the year 2000, because he had a stack of necks for a dime at that point. And the Undertaker was on the shelf with hip surgery. So, yeah, pretty slim Royal Rumble in terms of main eventers, which we'll get to for sure. But yeah, good card from top to bottom, Tomas. I don't know about you, but I had a blast with it.
Absolutely. And this show starts off in a very iconic way. If you want to get us into this.
Gladly. So we have a freshly debuted Kurt Angle on this card opening the show. And he is taking on an opponent to be announced, as Jim Ross so aptly put it. Kurt Angle gets on the horn, and this is just earnest rookie Kurt Angle, who thinks he's the most respectful person of all time. But in reality, he's saying, like, listen, if we were sitting around here waiting for the Knicks to take home a title, you'd probably be waiting forever. We would. It's true. And the crowd starts booing him, because keep in mind, they're in Madison Square Garden, Tomas.
And this is also another case of Angle is just that type of oblivious heel that he's saying this stuff that is obviously shitty, but he doesn't think he's saying anything wrong.
No.
He thinks he's 100% in the right, and he doesn't even realize he's making these backhand comments of people that live in New York. This is also Angle's pay-per-view debut here at the Rumble 2000.
I think, so I actually think he had two smaller pay-per-view matches before this. I think his official in-ring debut, I think, was at Survivor Series of 99. And then I believe he would also wrestle at Armageddon the next month, but I could be very wrong about that. But
you're probably right. I could have swore I saw a statistic that I think this might, considering it's his opponent's debut, and yeah,
very
Angle,
much so.
I feel like Angle just had an open challenge. He knew nobody can beat him. He was undefeated at this point, and he just wanted to, show off. So he said, anyone who wants to come out and face Angle, come out and do it. See if you can beat him.
And who did it, Tomas? Who was it?
It was former ECW champion Tazz, making his first appearance in the WWF. The minute I saw this, I just thought back to, man, remember when WWF was the original Forbidden Door? Tazz was fresh off his ECW run, and nobody saw this coming.
No. Well, I mean, I feel like there were rumors that were circulating back in the day, but you certainly would have suspected that rumors were floating around, because these fans popped huge for Tazz.
Oh yeah, remember, there's no internet back in the day. There was no like dirt sheets or anything like that. You either had to hear a word of mouth, or what good Mike Work taught me, through the hotlines, through the WWF hotline, through the WCW hotline, just to hear like these slight subtle rumors that, wrestlers could be jumping ship. And again, you hate to admit it, but WWF and ECW were the original Forbidden Door. Like,
they were.
You never saw this shit like this.
WCW wrestlers never crossed over to the WWF, but here we have an ECW guy crossing over. And Tazz.
And this wasn't the first time. A lot of people don't remember about the original ECW invasion back in 1997, when you had guys like RVD challenging, a fresh Jeff Hardy over on Monday Night Raw. Yes. Jerry Lawler constantly calling out ECW. And I think Lawler even crossed paths over to an ECW pay-per-view at one point.
This bingo hall looks like it was like I don't remember exactly what the King said, but probably did not involve puppies in any sort of fashion. But Kurt and Tazz, they have a very fast-paced 3-minute match here, and I was very shocked looking at the match time here. This match was only 3 minutes 15 seconds, if I'm being precise for a minute. Kurt dominated.
Also, any fans of Botchamania out there, this is the sound clip they use for the Oompa Loompa segment for the weighing 200 pounds. Tazz, JR, it's Tazz.
It's Tazz.
Anybody who's a fan of Botchamania, that's where the sound clip comes from.
There you go. There you go. And Tazz honestly was a freaking machine here. Literally. They call him the human suplex machine for a reason. And the King legit says on commentary, one of the best calls of his career, I've never seen suplexes like this before, JR. Because he's like taking Kurt and he's folding him in half and then he's hitting him with a suplex there. And it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Every suplex from Tazz looks like it hurts. And then he locks Kurt in the Tazz mission. Kurt is in there for a while, and he's choked out. The King is very adamant that this is an illegal maneuver, but...
Yeah, because remember, in ECW, no such thing as illegal anything. So right. Tazz made his career off of using this chokehold. He comes in the WWF, and he chokes out Angle, and they're not really sure what to say about this. Was it legal? Was it illegal? Did Tazz really win the match? And even going on after that, Angle was in the trainer's room. He finally wakes up, and he says, wait, Tazz choked me out. That didn't count. That didn't count. I'm still undefeated, right? And the doctors are trying to tell him, like, you need to go to the hospital first. Never mind about your undefeated streak.
Well, poor Kurt had no idea where he was at that point in the little segment he had in the backstage area. He was like, he's getting checked by the doc. He's shining a light in his eyes. Did I win? Did I win? What happened? and then Kurt's like, wait, no, that was an illegal choke. I'm still undefeated. And that would since be... I believe the next night on Raw or the week after, Tazz would cost Kurt Angle a match against The Rock in Kurt's hometown, and that would be his official first loss in the WWF. But in the record books, Tazz defeats Kurt Angle by technical knockout / submission in 3 minutes. This is a 3-star match, Tomas. I can't believe I'm saying this, but 3 minutes, but it was a very fast-paced match.
Oh, yeah. It was fun. It was unexpected. It was, something that you would like to see nowadays. Again, Tazz, a huge ECW star, ECW champion, fresh off of his ECW run, showing up in the WWF. And this was near the tail end of not only ECW's run, but with WCW's run as well. They were still rivals, but the war was pretty much over at this point.
Yeah, WWF was on fire at that point in the Monday Night Wars. They were the clear front runner and the clear winner for all intents and purposes. WCW was going down the drain in a few months, but Tazz, as far as Tazz goes, this was unfortunately the peak of his WWF career because, oh boy, he would be stuck in hardcore championship purgatory basically for the rest of his run, feuding with Jerry the King Lawler.
Unfortunately, his neck injuries would catch up with him, and Tazz was forced to retire very, very early into his WWF run.
He sure was. But you know what? He came off like the Attitude Era's version of Samoa Joe here. Like a freaking animal that you did not want to mess with. And, he came off like a legit badass too. And, this is living proof of that. So, great iconic Royal Rumble moment, if you ask me. One of the more underrated ones in history now that Tazz is retired and everything.
Absolutely. And then moving on next is kind of a staple classic. It was the first time ever, but you know the names, you know the tune. It's the Hardy Boys, Jeff and Matt, challenging the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon, in the first ever tag team tables match. Now hearing that and saying that out loud, it makes a lot of sense that they were very unclear on what exactly the rules for a tag team tables match would be. They announced it as the first team to simultaneously put their opponents through tables, win the match. And I'm just like, simultaneously, you mean they both have to go through a table at the exact same time?
Right.
Or do you put someone through a table and they're out of the match? No, what they meant to say was both members of a team must go through a table for the team to win. Which is again, first ever tag team tables match. They had no idea how to establish these rules.
Yeah. But a very young Michael Cole does interview the Hardy Boys and Terry Runnels, their manager, backstage before the match. And Terry's like, we're going to blow the roof off Madison Square Garden. And Jeff with the iconic line, Terry, no, you're not going out there. And I'm like, so freaking young Jeff Hardy, man. Like, he just, like, I don't know. His promo style has never changed. Let me just say that.
Absolutely not. Like,
but
when it came to the acting chops, Matt definitely had the better promo cutting style.
It definitely was a very genuine promo, but these damn Dudleys, man, they come out to the ring. Bubba gets on the horn, and he does not apologize to the crowd for being vulnerable and stuttering in front of them, like some other people he thinks should apologize. But anyway, they start talking. I'm just saying, you know.
You're not wrong. No, you're not wrong.
Mox did not need to apologize, sir, but no. Bubba says something about they have the nerve to boo a man who's my new hero, John Rocker, who made some very racist statements aboard a MSG subway train. And then Devon gets on the horn. He's like, if you idiots were smart, you would elect John Rocker as your man. I'm like, Jesus, no. This is a ridiculous promo. John Rocker, I don't want to talk about him, but anyway, but this is honestly an iconic match. What else can really be said about it?
This is a pretty damn good match, all things considered, with the weird rules and them not showing what to do. It's the Dudleys and the Hardys. If you've seen this, you know, we've seen this in many different forms in ladder matches in TLC with Edge and Christian, but no matter which way you put it, these two teams put on a damn good match. They just clicked.
Along with the No Mercy 1999 ladder match, this was a revolutionary period for tag team wrestling here and for high spots wrestling in general. First ever tag team tables match. It was just vicious. All these Bubba Ray Dudley, I don't think had any clue where he was for the majority of the match because Jeff, I believe it was Jeff, he hit him in the head with a steel chair so fucking hard that Bubba's eyes were like Undertaker style in the back of his head for a while. That's a massive concussion.
Also really funny that when they started pulling out chairs and ladders, the commentators started wondering, this is a tables match, right? And it's like, yes, you can use other weapons too, you know?
There is last I checked, King, there is no disqualification in a tables match. But yeah, and then Bubba with the receipt, Jeff is running off of the barricade for a drop kick, and then Bubba throws a table right into Jeff Hardy's head. Fucking ouch. I do not want to be any of these guys in this match. Like, Jesus, you know, and the rules clearly state also, Tomas, that they had to put their opponents through the table with an offensive maneuver. Like, they can't put themselves through a table.
So very specific with the rules of this match.
Because there was a point where, I'm kind of skipping ahead, but there was a point where Devon was on a table bridge, and Matt tries leg dropping Devon through it. Matt goes through it. Devon leans against a table that's leaning against the barricade. Jeff tries putting Devon to a table. Jeff misses. Jeff puts himself through it.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't count. Yeah, those are just extra pieces of carnage right there, basically. So, yeah, those are defensive maneuvers. So the Hardy Boys would not have lost there in that case. But Bubba Ray Dudley does go through the first table with a vicious looking spot from the Hardys. Matt hits a leg drop off the top of the ladder in the entryway, which we didn't even talk about, Tomas. Brilliant Madison Square Garden entryway here. The taxi cab and the rafters, and then the freaking the street, like the New York streets, you know, just down the walkway. Brilliant.
Oh yeah, and that environment would work perfectly for a match coming up later on in the night.
Oh yes. Can't wait to talk about that. But yeah, it was like they landed right on Bubba's poor head at that point. Bubba's eliminated, but technically, Bubba...
quote unquote. I know you can't see me right now, but quote unquote eliminated because even though you are quote unquote put through a table, that doesn't mean you have to leave the match. And if you think about it, what's stopping you from being in the match? There's no disqualifications. No one's making you leave. So it's really a case of, I hope you're keeping score at home and I hope the commentators are too. I hope everybody was, because it'd be very easy to take, you know, oh, Bubba went through a table, but did Jeff go through? Oh no, Bubba went through a second table, but no, has Devon go? Like, oh my gosh, so much to keep track of in this match.
Yeah, so much admin spreadsheet to go through, which I think kind of holds this match back. It was kind of hard to keep track of who was still in the match, technically. Bubba was the first one eliminated, but he was actually the one who scored the elimination on Matt Hardy with a sick amount of relish as he power bombs Matt off the top through a table in the ring. And then Jim Ross clearly says the next person to go through a table, Jeff Hardy or Devon Dudley, loses the match. And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, it's
basically, like, this is not like 2002 where they did the elimination tables match and they actually had to leave the match.
Mm-hmm.
Again, what's stopping you from staying and just continue fighting? Like, is the table spot really that bad that you can no longer? Nope, I'm dead.
No, I'm dead. I'm dead. But this match, again, just pure chaos, just a human demolition derby, if I could use a WWE term from 2018 for a minute here. But they start brawling down the opposite aisleway in the crowd. Bubba stacks 4 tables in that little alley there, and he takes Jeff up to the heavens. Looks like he's gonna like jump off the top, put Matt through all those tables. Jeff hits him with a big, gigantic, massive low blow. Hits Bubba in the head again with a chair. Bubba falls off the balcony and through all those tables. My God.
God, the cojones on Bubba Ray for taking that spot. A trust fall off the balcony through those tables.
Off the balcony through those tables, and say what you want about him nowadays. You could put a big asterisk next to him, but I would argue that Bubba was the MVP of this match just for being such a trooper, taking all those spots. But
oh yeah, and I feel like coming up, so Devon is set up on the tables below the balcony, and that back shot of Jeff on the balcony about ready to do a swanton, I feel like he's done that like 4 or 5 times. I feel like he did it at Mania 16. I feel like he did it in this show. He did it at Survivor Series 2002. Like,
he sure did.
That, you can just show that back image, and I wouldn't be able to tell you what show it's from because he's done it so many times. And that's not a knock on him. It's just the fact that he has done that spot. That's not a spot you should be able to do so often, but
it's a memorable moment, man. It's a memorable moment.
Very memorable moment. It's an iconic shot of him.
Yeah, jumps off the balcony through Devon. The Hardy Boys win. They don't look much like winners because they've been through a freaking war, which I rate 4 stars out of 5, by the way. This is a classic Attitude Era tag team match, if you ask me. A lot of fun to go back and revisit from time to time. I've seen this match many times. I'll probably see it many more times throughout my life, too.
Oh, yeah. And, in a weird... Here's my thing, and I know I'm in the minority when I say this. The Attitude Era, as great as the star power was, there's a lot of inconsistent gimmick matches thrown in the mid-card just for the sake of having them. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those rare instances where the stipulation justified the means. This match actually made sense, and it made sense for the rivalry. They're not just randomly putting people in street fights just for the sake of it. And I feel like this and the WWF Championship match, it's justified. What were we just complaining about? Armageddon 2000, Jericho and Kane in the Last Man Standing.
Oh, God.
Why?
Well, I was complaining about it because it was a Last Man Standing match, Tomas. We've been over this. Last Man Standing matches suck. But...
No, it's not like Dog Kennel from Hell match, a Hell in a Cell surrounding a steel cage. Like, why? Why?
And then
with
dogs,
bloodthirsty dogs that
look
very friendly, and I want a pet. I would not be scared of them.
Yeah, no, they look like, very, very much like sweethearts. But
yes.
Yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and fast forward real quick through that goddamn Miss Rumble swimsuit competition because they can't really do anything else with the women.
This is usually the part where I jump in and say, hey, just for the sake of mentioning it, but this is a rare case I'm going to agree. Nothing happens here.
Nothing happens, and then King always alludes back to Mae Young throughout the rest of the show. That's all you really need to know.
God bless Mae Young and may her soul rest in peace. I liked Mae Young because you never saw her coming, and when she did, it was always funny. So I'm going to give it, I don't even know. Like, I want to give a point just to that because I love Mae Young. Like, she always made me laugh when I was a kid. And she always just showed up when you least expected it.
Yeah, and bonus points to Mark Henry also from saving the segment from going too far. So...
props to the judges for declaring her the winner. I actually thought that was funny.
Including Andy Richter from SNL for some reason, but...
I guess he had nothing going on that weekend.
Yeah, but up next is actually a triple threat match for the Undisputed Intercontinental Championship as Chris Jericho and Chyna, who are co-champions at this point, both defending against Bob Holly, who weighs in at allegedly over 400 pounds, Tomas.
Exactly. Yeah, I did not know he was such a super heavyweight.
So next time you play SmackDown versus Raw 2007 to all the viewers, if you try and lift up Hardcore Holly, you're not going to get very far doing that.
You really shouldn't be able to. I mean, he's massive.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come out off the bat and say, as fun as the Intercontinental Championship storyline was, number one, I feel like it never lived up to its full potential.
Yeah.
And number two, I think that was just WWF being cowards and not fully putting the Intercontinental title on Chyna.
And
100% absolutely cowardice.
Well, I mean, you've seen WWF. Number one, they've Chyna won the Intercontinental Championship at no mercy, I want to say, in a good housekeeping match against Jeff Jarrett, who was leaving the company anyway. So Chyna was going through a feud with Jericho. I think she held that belt for a good 2 months or something like that. And then they would have a match on Raw where there was a double pin, and then they were both the champion, and then Hardcore Holly pinned them both in the build-up to the Rumble, hence this match right here.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Just having a triple threat just for the sake of having a triple threat. I mean, I'm not full offense to Bob Holly because I don't like him. But, I don't think he was needed in this match. I think they just put him there just for the sake of putting him there.
Yeah. I mean, especially thinking more and more about how this match ended. Like, Bob Holly did not need to be here.
My biggest criticism of this match is I think Bob Holly held Chyna and Jericho back. I think Chyna and Jericho could have easily had a 2 out of 3 falls match to determine the real Intercontinental Champion or something like that.
2 out of 3 falls would have been great, but
yeah, exactly. Because this is peak Chyna right here.
I get it,
and I've gushed about Chyna before, and I will do it again. She just looked amazing.
Oh, this is not the only time we'll be talking about Chyna on this show either. She's the 9th wonder of the world for darn good reason, but. Yeah, Lawler is still freaked out about the Mae Young incident throughout this whole match, and I'm just like, call the fucking match. JR's doing his job, so Chyna looks really, really great. She hits a pedigree on Hardcore Holly at one point, which I'm sure made Triple H happy. Ironic because he's the one who left her for Steph. Anyway, so yeah. Basically, yeah. Can I just say also, Chris Jericho, even though he was technically the heel in this storyline, Madison Square Garden was treating him like the biggest fucking star. Like, oh my God. Madison Square.
He's from that area, is he not?
His dad actually was on the New York Rangers. So
exactly, yeah. Like, I know he's from that New York, Long Island area.
Mm-hmm.
Even though born in Canada, I think he was born in Canada and grew up in New York. So he's definitely sort of a hometown hero around there.
But then again, New York is a smart crowd anyway. So I feel like they would have cheered for Jericho regardless because he's a fucking great wrestler still 22 years after the fact of this show. But there was a point where Bob Holly introduces a chair. Looks like he's about to hit Chyna in the head with it. Thank God Chyna drop kicks it back in his face, much to Tomas's glee there. But basically, ending of the match, Chyna locks in the walls of Jericho on Bob Holly, and then Jericho...
Which I cleverly dubbed the Great Wall of Chyna.
Oh my God. The Great Walls of Chyna? Yep, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't believe they just missed the opportunity.
That's the one.
Yeah. I can't believe they missed that opportunity.
I cannot top that, my friends. I cannot top that. But if we ever review a Chyna Jericho match, we have to call it the Great Walls of Jericho or Great Walls of Chyna now. Oh, God, I'm mixing it up now. But Chyna has
better than spending one night in China, if you know what I mean.
Oh, relax, my friend. But Chyna has the.
I should have saved that joke for the Royal Rumble match.
Anyway, Chyna has the Great Wall of Chyna, as Tomas so aptly called it, on Bob Holly. Jericho from behind with a bulldog hits Chyna with a lion salt. Jericho is your undisputed Intercontinental Champion to a huge pop from the crowd. They loved seeing that. I mean, it's a decent match, 2.5, maybe 2 3/4 if I'm being nice. Yeah, but
it's decent enough. There were some fun spots in there, but like I said, I don't think Bob Holly needed to be in this match.
Yeah,
but then again, that's not fully against him. I feel like no one should have been in this match. It didn't need to be a triple threat. This is about Chyna and Jericho, and unless they really wanted to put the title on Bob Holly, he didn't need to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like the co-IC champion feud wasn't really that interesting of a storyline anyway. You were alluding to it, but the WWF had tried that like 6 years prior to this with Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, and then that resulted in a classic match at WrestleMania 10 in that same facility, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
but
and I feel like that's the reason why it didn't work. It didn't live up to its full potential because WWE didn't give this storyline enough time to ride out. Because I do think with the proper build, they could have saved a Jericho Chyna blow off for WrestleMania.
Oh, of course.
But they decided to just, blow their load in only a couple months and be like, this isn't working. Let's get that title. And I feel like the real winner should have been Chyna.
Yeah, they wanted to get to the Mamacita angle, though. So,
yeah, and I will say this every single time Chyna's on a review, she should have been WWF champion at some point. But WWE,
well, they were planning on it. Vince Russo was planning on it. Give the devil credit where it's due. He had a bunch of insane ideas, as you would see in WCW 2000, but him wanting to make Chyna the WWF champion, give the man credit where it's due. That's all I'm saying.
And I definitely will.
He's a fucking
biggest missed opportunity.
He's an idiot, but like, yeah, no, that was one of his better ideas, I would say. But before you get to this next match, Tomas, I do have to address this Rock promo. I'm so sorry. This was such a funny promo. Probably one of his most sarcastic promos of all time, which is right up my alleyway as a sarcastic, smug gentleman myself. Basically, he's back there with very young Michael Cole, who he loved picking on back in the day with an insane amount of relish as well. Michael Cole asks The Rock if there's any superstar he's concerned about in the Royal Rumble match later on. And The Rock says, and I quote, "Well, Michael Cole, The Rock says this. There are 2 WWF superstars that The Rock has a slight concern with. Number 1 is going to be Crash Holly. Number 2 is going to be Headbanger Thrasher. And The Rock says if he can get by those 2, then he might have a chance of winning the Royal Rumble." Does not acknowledge.
Yeah, that is a prime example, a prime just foreshadowing how very lackluster this Royal Rumble match is going to be. I mean, The Rock was guaranteeing victory, and he had a damn good reason to guarantee victory here.
Yeah.
And at the time, he was feuding with the Big Show, and he was looking right past the Big Show.
Purposely does not acknowledge the Big Slow, as he called him many times. Michael Cole then brings up the Big Show, and then Michael Cole says, "Why don't you concern yourself with fixing yourself a nice tall glass of shut up juice?" And I'm like, yeah. And they were trying to get that line over.
I totally forgot that was one of the Rock singers. Because I remember the very first time John Cena was on Jimmy Kimmel, or was it Conan O'Brien? He was on Conan O'Brien, and Conan had mentioned that promo, and I'm just like, the hell kind of WWE? I do not remember The Rock saying that. And then I saw him like,
shut up, juice.
Shit, he did. He did. He fucking did.
He absolutely did. Absolutely 100%. I have Royal Rumble 2000 on DVD. Also, I've watched that thing so many times. That's why I'm so familiar with this show. But the shut up juice line really, really popped me. I was like, yeah, you tell him, Rock, because The Rock was my favorite wrestler of all time. He still is. So, typical outstanding promo, but we kind of slow down for a little bit, don't we, Tomas?
We do. And in a match that was really being hyped up for whatever reason, it's the New Age Outlaws, Road Dogg Jesse James, and Badass Billy Gunn. Oh, I'm sorry. Billy Gunn.
That's
defending
there you go. There you go.
Defending the titles against the Acolytes, Bradshaw and Farouk.
Fuck the ass man gimmick. He's the one Billy Gunn.
He's the one Billy Gunn. And we'll be talking about the one Billy Gunn later on tonight, too, because he is the one Billy Gunn. This match got hyped for some reason. This match got a proper build. Spanning between Raw and SmackDown when WWF knew how to use. If WWE really wants to go back to the no brand split thing, then you got to utilize both shows to their full extent. And this was back when they actually did, when SmackDown was still like not even 2 years old. Like you would have something big happen on Raw and then have something equally big happen on SmackDown. And I think they did that with this feud pretty well. But another thing was back in 99 and 2000, there was only 2 things that were popular, and that was South Park and the WWF. And more specifically in the WWF, not necessarily D-Generation X, but the New Age Outlaws in particular, because everybody also always sings along to Road Dogg's entrance. Always. But this crowd was crystal clear with him the entire time. And I was kind of blown away because it made me realize how fucking over the Outlaws were.
Everybody fucking loves the Outlaws, and they didn't really give the Acolytes any sort of chance to take this home because they were just phasing out of their Ministry of Darkness phase. They were just going into, like, you know, drinking beers and, like, you know, being the protection agency and all that stuff. And they had just won a battle royal to become the #1 contenders at the pay-per-view the month before, I believe is what happened to set this match up. But this match, honestly, these teams did not gel together well at all, really. And it's unfortunate because these four are all great workers. Bradshaw, maybe my spiritual father, I don't know, but I hate to, you know, talk bad about him right now, but, you know, it just wasn't a good match, unfortunately.
It was a basic tag team match, honestly. If there was a fucker match, I feel like this was it. Which felt weird because the match got hype. It was one of the featured matches on the show prior to the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, a video package. How does this match of all things get a video package and Jericho Chyna doesn't, you know?
Yeah, like there was really no heat going into this match.
No. But Bradshaw does hit a sick clothesline from hell, and the one Billy Gunn is in orbit doing, like, you know, front flips, selling the clothesline from hell. Billy Gunn pulls the referee out of the ring while he's counting Road Dogg out after Farouk hit a Dominator, I want to say. Then we get an X-Pac run in, and then that's enough to cost the Acolytes the match. The Outlaws, of course, retain their tag titles because there was never any doubt. It was smart that they kept this short. Barely went 3 minutes. Tazz and Kurt Angle was longer than this match, for those of you keeping score at home. Good thing for it, because Tazz and Angle, I think, gelled much better. So, yeah, I mean, maybe star and a quarter. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it was a match. You know, like I said, really nothing to it. It was your basic tag.
Yeah, but this next match, Tomas, we're gonna spend a lot of time on, aren't we? This match was not basic at all. This is Triple H.
Here we go.
Triple H defending the WWF Championship against Cactus Jack. Now, the build for this is probably one of my favorite builds to any WWF Championship match ever. So Triple H had just basically, you know, married Stephanie McMahon in kayfabe, and they started the McMahon-Helmsley regime, and they booked Mankind against The Rock, tag team partners, in a pink slip on a pole match where the loser is fired. Mankind loses, he's sent home. Mick Foley is sent home. The Rock then stages a uprising against the regime unless they reinstate Mick Foley, which is a weird. That one's a little iffy. I mean, I know he was sticking up for his friend, but, like, you know, just upholding, like, the entire show just because one person is gone, like.
I feel like he had some backup though too. There were a lot of people, like,
he had the whole roster out there with him.
Yeah, the whole roster was protesting in favor of Foley. So
yeah,
you know,
so
you look in the future and you look at, like, the Occupy Raw movement with Bryan Danielson, or, you know, any of those other, like, you know, it makes sense. It makes sense that finally, like, you know, stand up for yourself, stand up against these bullies. Like, it is very weird that Triple H was involved, and Triple H and Stephanie were involved in both of those angles.
Made sense, yeah, but it wasn't as good as Occupy Raw, in my personal opinion. But Mick Foley is reinstated. Triple H continues making fun of him with a fake Mankind on SmackDown, who is played by Dennis Knight, Midian at the time, which is an interesting little connection. Mankind is originally
still better than Naked Midian.
Yeah. Don't talk about Naked Midian right now, but it is booked Triple H versus Mankind at first, but Mick Foley realizes this isn't the persona that needs to take Triple H down, and the ghost of Triple H's past comes back to haunt him in a great SmackDown segment. The Mankind button-up shirt comes on, and there you see the wanted Cactus Jack logo, and I'm like, fuck yeah, Cactus Jack is going to kick Hunter's ass.
Yep. Only Foley could switch gimmicks on a dime like that, and it'd be cool.
Yep.
Anybody else does that? Anybody else puts on a mask or takes something off, it would be stupid. But Foley is the only one that could change from Mankind to Cactus Jack, from Cactus Jack to Dude Love on a fucking dime.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
This is the guy who 2 years prior entered the Royal Rumble match 3 separate times as 3 separate people. Nobody else in history has ever done that before, by the way. So, and I don't think anybody else
totally off subject. I agree with you. Totally off subject, but I think it was SmackDown versus Raw 07 where they had like these special event matches, and one of them was dead ass a 3-on-1 handicap match. Mick Foley versus Dude Love, Mankind, and Cactus Jack.
Yes.
It was fucking great.
Himself. Yep.
It's fucking great.
Yeah, this match, honestly, fucking great as well. You know, this match was, let me look at my little results here. It was 26 minutes and 48 seconds of brutal, cerebral brilliance between these two guys. If there's anything that Mick Foley, if there's anything in the world that Mick Foley deserves all the credit for, it's elevating guys who weren't taken seriously as main eventers and really propelling them to the next level via hardcore matches. Stay tuned for, our retro Ruthless Aggression reviews. He's going to do that with Randy Orton at Backlash. He's going to do that with...
Yeah, not only did Cactus Jack elevate Triple H's stock as a wrestler, he did it as a heel as well, because one thing I've always complimented Triple H on is his ring psychology. And his ring psychology combined with just Foley's style as a hardcore wrestler, it works pretty damn good. Triple H took his ring general awareness and he turned it into a hardcore style in this match, which showed very early in the match where he just absolutely bashes Foley's brains in with a chair, right off the bat. Ricochets it off his hair. You could hear that shit a mile away from NSG.
God, well, and Tomas and I were having this debate already, and shout out to Kevin and Austin, who always ask me this question, what I think about the I Quit match, the infamous I Quit match Mankind had with The Rock. It's a classic match, but classic for all the wrong reasons, because Mick Foley got literally his brains bashed in. The Rock damn near killed him. I can take a little bit more comfort in watching this match just because there were callbacks to the 99 I Quit match, but it was all telegraphed. It wasn't Mick Foley was handcuffed the whole time and taking 10 unprotected chair shots in a row to the skull. So, they spread them out a little bit more. But Triple H was absolutely laying it in for sure, and he looked like a fucking beast doing it.
Also, Foley wasn't the only one who bumped in this match. Triple H took some nasty bumps as well. Cactus Jack takes a steel chair, drapes it over Triple H's face, and then lands leg first, all unprotected on the face.
He
smashing his nose and his face in.
Oh, yeah. Triple H honestly got the shit kicked out of him in here. That alleyway that we were talking about comes into full play here. They're fighting literally in the crowd onto the streets by the entranceway, because they're just walking down the street to get to the ring. Mick Foley grabs a couple of wooden pallets, suplexes Triple H on the...
Jerry Lawler does have no fucking clue what those are. He's like having a heart attack on commentary. What are those? What are those, JR?
Apparently...
And JR's like, they're wooden pallets, King. I'm like, have you never fucking been to a grocery store before? Or a junkyard?
The King has never been to an Ace Hardware store in his life. So, so Cactus lays them down in the entryway, suplexes Hunter on them, and it's at this point where you notice that Triple H has a gigantic splinter gash in his left calf muscle, and it is bleeding profusely. I thought he had that going into the match because his knee was taped up anyway, but apparently when he got the suplex there, and there's a very morbid special feature on the DVD that has still been ingrained in my mind to this very day. Triple H is getting stitched up, and the doctor asks him how it happened. Triple H immediately answers, wooden pallets. Wooden pallets.
Ow, ow, oh.
Very calm.
That's also just like the WrestleMania 22 DVD, where they're working on Foley after his match with Edge, and they're stitching him up, and Foley just casually says, someone says, "Oh, what's that smell?" And Foley just casually says, "That's burning flesh."
Yeah. Unsettling to say the very least. But
speaking of Foley, there are two spots that he likes to take that I fucking can't stand for the life of me. One is the bareback splat on the concrete, which thankfully he didn't do in this match. The other one is when he has his opponent send him into the steel steps and he just bangs his knee against the steel steps and does a front flip over them.
It took a backdrop. He took a backdrop on the steps, and the back of his knees hit the steps too. My advice to anybody who wants to go back and rewatch this: don't watch this about 15 minutes after eating, because you may feel sick to your stomach.
Oh yeah, this is one of the nastier matches.
Yeah, one of the nastier matches of all time. But again, it's not like you're watching Mick Foley almost get killed by Dwayne Johnson, in Anaheim, California. But is this the point where Cactus pulls out the 2x4 with the barbed wire after the
Yes, it
pallets?
is.
It is. Okay, so Foley he goes under the ring for a weapon, doesn't get a chair. He grabs his patented 2x4, which is wrapped around with barbed wire on one end. And the King is freaking out. I don't know if Triple H was bleeding at this point. It might have been after one of those 2x4 shots. But there is a point where referee Earl Hebner stands no more, takes the 2x4 over to the Spanish announcers, and he tells them to hide it.
Good idea. Way to put them in danger.
Yeah. Way to put them in danger. After Hunter had used it a couple of times to bash
Poor Carlos
Foley
Cabrera and Hugo Savinovich. They get it again in this show.
Exactly. So there was a point where Earl takes a ref bump. Foley gets up after going for a pin. Doesn't get Hunter, obviously. He's looking around for the actually, no, I'm getting this out of order. So goes for a pin, fails, looks around for the barbed wire. He's like, where's it at? He's like looking at the fans. Where's it at? They're pointing at the referee, which is amazing detail there. They're pointing at the referee. Ask him. And he gets in Earl Hebner's face very quickly. Earl Hebner points to the Spanish announcers and throws them under the bus like they did it. I'm like, you fucker, Earl Hebner. You screw Bret Hart.
Honestly,
and now you, like,
I always wondered if Cabrera and Savinovich ever had like personalities like Lawler and King and Tazz and Cole did, because I'd be genuinely curious to see what they're like and how they're perceived like in Spanish speaking countries.
One can only wonder. But Hebner says the Spanish guys stole it. He goes over to Hugo, who says, no, you can't. No, Moss, you can't have it. Cactus smashes Hugo Savinovich in the face with his forearm. Cabrera can't take no more. He gives the 2x4 back to Cactus. There is a ref bump, and then Hunter is bleeding like nobody's business. His parents were sitting in the front row, and they saw every little bit of their son's blood. Yep, Triple H draped himself right in front of his parents in the barricade, as he recalled in the DX Hall of Fame induction. Told that story.
And then Foley drags Triple H over to the table, and this is where I start getting scared, because in the build-up video package for this match, Mick Foley took a nasty pedigree through the announce table. Like, this was back when Triple H didn't let go of the arms as he was coming down with the pedigree. So Foley's face is not protected, and his face just explodes the announce table. Right. I think Triple H stopped doing that after he pedigreed Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels landed on his head. Mm-hmm. But man, when Triple H used to do the pedigree that way, that's when the pedigree was fucking vicious.
Foley. You damn right. Right. Foley is God.
You know what? I never, when I was little and I saw signs of Foley, I never knew if they were saying Foley is good or Foley is God. I go with the latter.
Foley is God. Indeed. Yep. And matches like this are the reason why. I would argue that this is probably one of Mick Foley's best matches of his whole career, which is saying quite a lot. Quite a lot, because he's gone through a lot of iconic shit in his career. So this is the point where, after the announce table spot, Triple H grabs some handcuffs. And he handcuffs Mick Foley once again.
Oh, but real quick, that pedigree was in the build-up to this match. In this match, Foley hits a Cactus pile driver on the announce table, and the announce table doesn't fucking budge. So Triple H just gets his fucking shit wrecked for no reason.
And Triple H's blood is all over JR and King's table at this point in the match. But back to the handcuffs. Basically, this is called back to the previous year's Rumble. Triple H starts hitting him with chair shots. They make their way to the alley. I will
agree. This was very telegraphed, because the minute Triple H pulled out those handcuffs, King says, "Oh, you mean like last year? When is Foley going to get handcuffed again?" It's like, yeah, it was more natural last year. And I will give it that.
Absolutely more natural the previous year, but you got to admit, the offense that Foley was coming up with to combat the handcuffs, really creative. I mean, he was hitting headbutts. He was using his legs to kick Triple H in the corner.
And I do appreciate the continuity in this match, what we'll get into later when it comes to those handcuffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we'll actually go ahead and get to that now. They make their way to the alleyway. Triple H is breaking parts of the steel chair off of Foley's back. They make their way to the alley. He is jaw-jacking Mick Foley like nobody's business. You know, they're just talking trash the whole way through. Foley is like, you can hit me one more time, and then from out of nowhere, seemingly, Mick Foley's friend The Rock comes from the back, hits Triple H in the face with a steel chair, and then the police officer, who was backstage for some reason, might have been a developmental wrestler at this point.
So let me make a couple points about this. Number one, I know I went on a huge rant about wrestlers being in the main event, showing up before the main event, but here I liked it because I don't consider it cheating. Triple H handcuffed the man, and I feel like Rock coming out to even the odds made sense. And also, think of it from continuity. Last year, it was The Rock beating Foley senseless. Now I feel like this is The Rock saying, like, hey, man, sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, logic in a wrestling match. Oh, my God. I never thought I'd see the day.
But
the police officer coming out to let go of Foley, I was like, oh, my God, why don't you do this all the time?
We're using logic finally, and it's freaking amazing.
I cannot believe it.
I love it.
Never thought I'd see something logical happen in wrestling.
Yeah, so Cactus is getting he's getting a second wind. This is, I believe, the Cactus pile driver on the Spanish announce table. And then basically this is the big, grand finale. We were getting all the nice fireworks at this point, but now we're here for the big ol' climax here. Mick Foley goes under the ring, or Cactus Jack rather, grabs a big, gigantic hampa bag or whatever the material was. JR immediately knows what's in there. Thousands and thousands of thumbtacks. Foley's pouring them out all over the canvas, spreading them out. And then
now,
here comes...
I always felt like it was an exaggeration whenever they would say thousands. No, this was literal thousands of thumbtacks in this damn bag.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The bag was big enough to hold thousands of them for sure. But, yeah, Foley starts spreading them out, and then out comes Stephanie McMahon, who is accompanying Triple H to the ring during his entrance, which is one of the better Triple H theme songs of all time, might I add, my time. She's sent to the back.
I like it when he's actually coming out to it, but it's not a song I go out of my way to listen to on its own. If that makes any sense.
I do. It's great. It's great. I love it. But Steph comes out to, basically see how her husband's doing in a street fight environment when Hunter told her specifically to go to the back. It's at this point where there's a huge audible. Triple H hits one pedigree, and apparently that was supposed to be the end. Nobody had kicked out of the pedigree at that point, but Mick Foley calling that audible right there as Cactus Jack kicking out of the pedigree made him look like a fucking beast, and the crowd reacted in kind. They were shocked that someone had kicked out of the pedigree at that point, and Hunter was legit shocked too. Got to give him credit where it's due. His selling.
Oh, yeah.
Cerebral assassin for a reason, and then Mick was like, Cactus Jack, the fucking lunatic that he is, tells Hunter, do it again, but this time on the tacks.
Oh, my God.
How sick was that?
Oh, my God. Again, Triple H, this is before Triple H let go of the hands as he was coming down with the pedigree. So Foley just got face first, chest first, belly first, leg first, filled with thumbtacks. And let me tell you something. I have a phobia of sharp objects.
Yeah.
I have a phobia of sharp objects. Mm-hmm. And when I was little, I stepped on a thumbtack.
Oh, God.
And I still remember that to this day. And to this day, I make sure I would never, ever step on a thumbtack ever again.
No.
I think I did again one time, but it didn't go in all the way, and I was able to get it out before I felt in. But
no.
Whenever I see a thumbtack spot, I shiver with fear.
Mm-hmm.
Cringe. Wince. All the adjectives. So...
Pincushion, basically.
Seeing any... Wow, I understand how wrestlers can do that. And this is probably the nastiest thumbtack spot. Next to the one Randy Orton takes at Backlash 04. This rivals that.
We'll talk about that for sure. But yeah, Lego spots in PWG street fights to be damned. They wish they were this brutal. You know, like nobody else did it like Mick Foley, but he had some massive cojones on him. But Triple H retains, of course. There's a big aftermath where Cactus somehow gets back up as Triple H is taken off on a stretcher. Hits him with more barbed wire shots. Barbed wire 2x4. He leaves, standing up just like he did the previous year as a loser, but he was a beast.
And so it begins. the build to one half of the build of one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time. But we're not there yet. So we're going to talk about how fucking amazing this match was. Would you be comfortable giving this 5 stars?
Absolutely. If I could give this match more than 5 stars, I absolutely would. It's one of my favorite matches of all time. No questions asked. It made Triple H look like a legit main eventer when people were doubting him. It changed Triple H's career for the better. It made Cactus Jack look like a fucking killer, even in defeat. And fucking brutal. 26 minutes of brilliance. Not much else to say here. 5 stars. Easy.
Oh, yeah. This match is iconic for all of the right reasons. It's honestly one of the poster children for the Attitude Era. One thing I would like to do at some point is I would like to compile a top 10 Attitude Era, top 10 greatest matches of the Attitude Era. Because as much shit I give to the Attitude Era, some of my favorite matches of all time came from it. This one being included.
That would be fun. That would be fun for sure. And hey, if you want to see that, let us know down in the comment section below. We might even make a live stream out of it. But
oh yeah, we haven't done one of those for wrestling, so keep it in mind.
Yeah, but here we are, Tomas. The reason why we're all here, huh?
It is. We all know it. We just talked about one a couple days ago. It's the Royal Rumble match. You know how it goes. 30 men, 1 ring. You must be thrown over the top rope. Both feet must touch the floor. Winner gets a world championship match at WrestleMania. We have our first 2 contestants.
I was going to say you have 60 minutes to get as many pinfalls as you can, but apparently that's not the case. That's not a slobber knocker.
That would be fun. We have D'Lo Brown at number 1 with one of the best theme songs of all time. Yeah, I said it. Fucking love that theme song.
It's a good theme song.
I used to jam to that shit when I was little. Number 2, Grandmaster Sexay, a.k.a. Brian Christopher, a.k.a.
Jerry Lawler's son.
Jerry Lawler's son.
Jerry Lawler's son, R.I.P. And let me just say for the record, I give a lot of shit to WWE renaming people like Walter, like Piper Niven, like Bronson Steiner these days. But imagine you're Brian Christopher sitting there in the Attitude Era and you're told your new name is going to be Grandmaster Sexay.
After he came off of being Jerry Lawler's smug, entitled son who was not a bad wrestler. Who could have went far. Totally repackaged to Grandmaster Sexay, but you got to admit he got more over with his gimmick.
Oh, he did. He did. Pairing him off with Rikishi, who we'll get to. We'll certainly talk about Rikishi in this match a lot, but yeah, I mean, not much really going on. First 2 entrants here, basically just a feeling out process. The crowd's still kind of cooling down from the street fight at this point. So, number 3 is Headbanger Mosh, who comes out sporting some weird ring attire,
I saw that, and I just wondered, where the fuck does WWE find this shit?
I have no fucking idea.
A weird, fuzzy bra thing. I am not trying to censor anything. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yes, and let me just say also, it was at this point where one of my favorite parts of this Rumble starts happening. Mosh comes into the ring, starts beating down Grandmaster Sexay, but then out of nowhere, Sho Funaki and Taka Michinoku run to the ring, Kai and Tai, thinking they're in the Rumble match, and then they're quickly disposed of. This will not be the last time we talk about Kai and Tai. I laugh every single time.
Get used to that.
I fucking laughed every single time I saw them run out to the ring. Every time I go back and rewatch this, it's freaking great. Mosh gets hit by a lowdown from D'Lo. And then we get Christian at number 4. This is a tag team wrestler who we were talking about, filling in the field. Christian early entry. Not much going on. But then the Rumble really picks up with Rikishi coming out at number 5, as JR keeps calling him.
Rikishi. Don't know where JR got that. It's like in 2011 when he would call Sin Cara Sin Cara.
Rikishi.
But this felt more deliberate.
Got the same song as Too Cool, You Look Fly Today, basically the leader of the Too Cool faction. Basically very, very different from his last gimmick, which was the Sultan, led out to the ring by the Iron Sheik. But
this is when I
who remembers the Sultan?
When I did not until you reminded me. When Rikishi entered this match, it really just dawned on me that Rikishi really should have been a bigger player than he was made out to be in WWF. Because he has a good look, he has a good size. Honestly, lose the gimmick, and this guy could have been a bad motherfucker. I know he was the bad man. and there was potential in the bad man, but it was just not handled well at all.
No, not at all. But he quickly disposes of Mosh and Christian over the top rope, and both feet hitting the floor, of course. D'Lo hits a huge leg drop on Rikishi, and Rikishi pops right up from the leg drop. Does not sell it. D'Lo is hilariously raising the roof like Rikishi did, mocking him. And then Rikishi hits one of the most underrated finishers of all time, the Rikishi Driver, which looks nasty.
Yes, it's basically a tombstone pile driver, but you're not in between the legs of your opponent. You're draped over his shoulder, and you just get dropped down right on your head next to his side.
Yeah, it doesn't look fun at all. But D'Lo is quickly eliminated. We are left with Rikishi and Grandmaster Sexay in the ring. Who else would come out at number 6 but Scotty 2 Hotty? And we get a dance break. Too cool. Love this spot.
I loved it. It's an iconic spot.
It was so great. And JR, his exact quote says it all. Enough talk. Folks, we've seen it all. We're going to dance a little while. He's like, why not?
For a little bit, but Rikishi takes advantage of the situation, eliminates both members of his 2 cool buddies.
Throws out his voice.
Yep, standing alone. Enter Steve Blackman. Yawn. I know I'm in the minority.
Excuse you.
But yawn.
Excuse you. Steve Blackman's awesome. I don't care what anybody says.
Yawn. Thankfully, he's thrown out in 45 seconds.
Whatever.
Thankfully, he's thrown out in 45 seconds.
Jesus, you can have your opinions. I like Steve Blackman. Fight me on that.
Never was really into the karate gimmick.
No. I mean, it's better than Kung Fu Naki, but up next at number 8 is the big boy, Viscera. And this is not Big Daddy 5 Viscera. This is just fresh out of Ministry of Darkness Viscera here.
Can't see his fucking titties yet.
Fuck off. No. Oh, man, I shouldn't have said Big Daddy 5 there because I knew that was coming. But, yeah, not yet, Viscera. Rikishi, of course, this used to be King Mabel at one point or another, WWF title #1 contender. Rikishi and Viscera go at it for a little bit. King is saying that the ring is moving a little bit, which is kind of insulting if you really think about it. But Viscera is disposed of by Rikishi, and I remember watching it the first time as a kid, and I popped so loud for Viscera's elimination. I couldn't tell you why, but I was rooting so hard for Rikishi in that fight. But it was fun. But number 9, Big Boss Man. If you ever take a trip down to Cobb County, Georgia, you better read the signs, respect the law and order, and respect his intelligence, because he does not get in the ring with Rikishi right away.
Big Bubba himself decides to sit this one out. Wish he was a lot smarter. Wish he was a lot smarter during Deadly Games than he was in this match.
Yeah, sits out there for the full 90-second interval. Gives Rikishi a big double deuce on the way out to the outside, but the countdown clock starts and number 10 hits, and we get our Iron Man for this Rumble, believe it or not, and a very viable contender, and I'll argue why in just a moment, Tomas, and that would be Test. So
there has been one ongoing shtick in all of our classic reviews, and I will say it again. They dropped the ball on Test.
This was, and if there was ever a perfect time to pull the trigger on a Test top babyface run, give him a WWF title match at WrestleMania, have him win the Royal Rumble, and go after the guy who stole his woman away. That's soap opera wrestling,
in my opinion.
Triple H versus Test at WrestleMania 2000 would be money. I don't care what anybody says. So, Test is on fire. The women in the crowd are very much into Test because they realize he's newly single. But
and they're probably his testicles too.
Oh, you get out of here, you idiot. We're not doing that. But, there's a couple of low blows. Rikishi hits Boss Man with a low blow just for the fuck of it. But number 11 is former Rumble runner-up, the British Bulldog, who was, unfortunately, made Davey Boy Smith rest in peace. He was never the same again after his back injury at...
raise your hand if you forgot Bulldog was in WWF around 2000. I'm raising my hand.
This was very shortly after his short feud with The Rock in the fall of '99 with the infamous.
Rock bottom into the dog poop. Into the dog poop.
The dog poop. The dog poop.
Into the dog poop.
Yeah. Not into the dog poop. But yeah, Bulldog is very much in heel mode. Number 12, you want to talk about best theme songs of all time? Fucking Gangrel and his Brood entrance. Love that song. I will listen to it. I will listen to it on repeat. I don't care what anybody says. Gangrel's theme song is a bop. Tess interrupted his blood spewing ceremony on the outside there, as JR called it, a ceremony. And then we get fucking Kai and Tai out here again, Tomas. And do you want to talk about what happens here? Because
yeah, they go and they try and fuck shit up again. They get eliminated, and one of them takes a fucking nasty ass spill on his face.
Yes. So Funaki is thrown out right away by Test. Bossman and Gangrel take poor Taka Michinoku, does a full front flip, lands on his face, and breaks his collarbone in the process, too.
Shit, they weren't even in the match, and they took the worst injury of the night.
Yeah. Triple H getting cut in his calf off the wooden pallet. I don't think it has shit on Taka breaking his fucking clavicle on the way out of the Royal Rumble when he wasn't even supposed to be in the match. So.
Oh, yes.
And then they would play that replay many times, much to the King's glee, who kept calling them Chinese people, which is very racist in hindsight.
Where was the Peacock editing team when you needed them there?
Yeah. So it's a very, very, very painful spot. But then we have Edge at number 13 to a huge babyface pop at this point.
Edge ironically entering right after Gangrel, which again we've mentioned to this day still uses the Brood entrance, which I think is fucking cool.
Yeah, that's very ironic, actually. I didn't even think about it until you brought it up. I'm like, Gangrel just came out, and now here's Edge, one of his proteges. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. But here's number 14, Tomas. Before surprise entrance became a staple in the Royal Rumble match, here we have former WWF champion Bob Backlund in Madison Square Garden, who at this point was running for a Senate seat for the state of Connecticut. Doesn't really last too long in the ring, but the crowd popped once they figured out it was Bob Backlund out there.
Yeah, because Backlund was trying to make Connecticut great again.
We're gonna make Darren Young great again. No. We're about 16 years too early on that gimmick, but
I was gonna say, well, wait till we talk about 2016 in about 12 years.
Oh, Jesus. Well, yeah, so it's at this point where Rikishi is eliminated by every single other competitor in the ring. They try and set up a stink face spot for Bob Backlund, and Rikishi misses, and then everybody throws Rikishi out of the Royal Rumble.
Which is a shame. He lasted 16 minutes, but I think he could have lasted a lot longer.
Yeah, he could have lasted all the way up to, at least number 20.
Yeah.
I think they did the right thing eliminating him before the Rock's entry, for example. But it was, yeah.
Also, I want to point out to this point that every single time the buzzer was about to hit, Jerry Lawler kept saying, "Here's the Rock. The Rock's coming. The Rock's coming. The Rock's coming."
Yeah, he wanted the Rock so bad. Yeah, I don't know. And he kept changing his pick the whole time. His pick at this point was the Big Boss Man, and
that's a Jerry Lawler special, honestly. He does that with every Rumble.
Everybody knows, whoever Jerry the King Lawler picks in the Royal Rumble is a bad omen because they always get eliminated shortly afterwards, and the King always makes a fresh pick. Which is why I was so relieved watching this year's Rumble kickoff when he picked Omos on the kickoff panel, and I was like, thank God. Thank God.
Omos' giant hand should have just came out of nowhere and grabbed him by the throat, change your pick right now. No, too late. The damage is already done.
Hell, I would pay money.
It doesn't work like that.
I would pay money to see that. But, well-booked Rumble so far. I don't know about you, but, there's no real contenders coming out. This guy would be a big contender in later years. Chris Jericho is number 15, the undisputed Intercontinental Champion. Drop kicks Bob Backlund out immediately. And then, because Bob Backlund is campaigning, he leaves through the crowd and does that whole shtick there, and the crowd is popping huge for that. But, it's fun so far. Number 16 is one of the big threats to The Rock, Crash Holly, who, again, allegedly weighs over 400 pounds.
And ironically, he lasted almost 15 minutes in this Rumble.
He fucking did. He was in there for a while, wasn't he?
How the fuck did he last longer than Jericho, Backlund, Edge? by 6 seconds.
Well, because The Rock needed to eliminate him to play off of that interview, which is
like
great attention to detail for sure. But yeah, again, it's very, very difficult to get one of the Holly cousins over the top rope because they're both super heavyweights, but they managed to do it. Number 17, Tomas, is who?
Number 17 is Chyna. Like I said, a lot of people pulling double duty in this match. Fresh off for losing one half of her Intercontinental Championship. Her and Jericho immediately eliminate each other, which is a damn shame. Yeah. I think Chyna could have lasted a long time in this Rumble, but she only lasted 38 seconds.
Yeah, she entered the Rumble match for the second year in a row after entering in the prize number 30 spot and eliminating Sexual Chocolate Mark Henry in that year's Rumble. So, I mean, yeah, that was an impressive suplex on Jericho to the outside. The crowd popped huge for that, too. Yeah, it didn't last very long. Number 18 is going to be Farouk of the Acolytes. And suddenly, you have more run-in, not from Kai and Tai, but the Mean Street Posse. What the hell is the Mean Street Posse's problem with the Acolytes here? Because
they just decided to have beef with them tonight, and the Mean Street Posse, who is responsible for getting Shane McMahon in the WWF, on TV at least, storms the ring, and they immediately attack Farouk. Big Boss Man throws him over, and Farouk's out in less than 20 seconds.
Yep, Farouk was beaten up by the Posse 3-on-1, and Boss Man picks up the scraps there. Boss Man was in there for a while, too. He had a pretty good showing here. Number 19, of course, playing off of the double duty and the crowd being way into the New Age Outlaws, chants the Road Dogg's intro as he makes his way to the ring. And the crowd also chants, "We want puppies," even though there's no women at ringside at this point. So I don't know if that necessarily, I guess it makes sense because the Road Dogg is a dog at some point.
So we want puppies.
Yeah. Well,
and then number 20 is fucking Al Snow. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, yeah.
He was in this shit for a long time.
I'd love if I were a wrestler for Al Snow to be my teacher. He's won the European title. He's won the fucking hardcore title.
And he likes... Yeah, he's done a lot.
He's put over a lot. He's put over controversial people like Joey Ryan and Impact.
I was just gonna say, yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
why the fuck? He forms racist tag teams in Impact.
Oh shit.
That fucking gimmick.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that. Yeah. It was at this point where we had one dog eliminate another as the Bulldog is thrown out by the Road Dogg, who actually spends most of this Rumble on the edge of the apron just hugging the bottom rope, which is an excellent strategy.
Would become very famous for that spot, for just hiding in the corner and just clinging onto that bottom rope for dear life. Almost as iconic as, I think we'll get to talk about this soon, the Royal Rumble where Nunzio decided to just sit by the barricade and say fuck this until John Cena threw his ass in there.
Yeah, that was 2004.
You're like, why wouldn't you do that? why wouldn't you do that?
Well, first off, Cole, you got to try and hide. So, number 21 belongs to Val Venus, who was very over with this crowd. And you want to talk about someone who they never really pulled the trigger on. He had some money feuds with Mankind at the end of the previous year, but never was propelled to a WWF title match, that's for sure. Val Venus.
I will always say the only thing holding Val Venus back was the gimmick. Even though he played the gimmick very well, I'm sorry, you're never going to see someone with a porn star gimmick be the WWF champion.
Yeah, never put a porn star as your top guy. But they would change that in the middle of 2000, and we may be talking about that depending on how this next retro poll goes. But it was at this point where Funaki runs out to the ring by himself. Again, I laughed at it.
His tag team partner got his shit wrecked.
His tag team partner fucking broke his collarbone, and Jerry Lawler still can't tell the difference between Chinese and Japanese people because he's a douchebag. But
yes.
Number 22 is Prince Albert, Tomas.
The hip-hop hippo himself.
Well, no, that wasn't his gimmick at this point. He was just Prince Albert. Didn't win a turn.
He has so many fucking gimmicks. You expect me to keep track of all of them?
He was a train. It's a big.
Here comes Tenzai.
Yeah,
Tenzai's on his way to the ring.
Yeah, speaking of Japanese gimmicks, but in any case, this is meanwhile as Prince Albert's running down to the ring, poor Edge is tossed over the top rope by Val Venus. Number 23 is, again, another super heavyweight, big heavy hitter. Tomas. Is very hard to toss this guy over the top rope.
Ooh, between the
Bob
two
Holly
cousins, how did the ring not break?
Right?
Between Hardcore and Crash.
How did they not try and hit a superplex spot, and how did the ring not explode underneath them? But, yeah. But number 24, Tomas, my guy, The Rock. You know, there was a big babyface pop. You smell, and The Rock runs down. Well, he doesn't run down. He's
finally
very
because we all knew
no pun
this
intended.
Rumble was not going to pick up until The Rock got out there.
No pun intended, huh? Well, I mean, it's a fun
nothing
Rumble.
really happened in this Rumble.
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty uneventful Rumble, all things considered, but I still have fun with it, you know, because there's still a lot of freaking memorable moments in there, like the Rikishi stretch. You have some cool spots in the middle there with Jericho and Chyna.
I thought the ring was filling up so The Rock could clear house, but he really doesn't. He does throw out a couple of people, but he does get snuffed out right away, and he ends up, you know, just taking offense.
One of them, Tomas, again, if we're keeping track of Jerry Lawler's picks, it's going to be Big Boss Man, who The Rock eliminates about 4 seconds after he gets to the ring.
Now that's just insulting.
Very ironic. At least there's some continuity there. At least the gimmick is The Rock and Boss Man can only have 4-second matches. But
yeah, and why the fuck are we talking about The Rock when number 25 is the one Billy Gunn?
I know, right? You know, they just had a big feud, you know, going into SummerSlam that year. I mean, the one Billy Gunn, he's got to be a main eventer, right? He's got to be a contender. He makes it pretty far.
The one Billy Gunn. Why would you not?
Yeah.
The one Billy Gunn.
Yeah. Speaking of
the one
continuity,
Billy Gunn is the one who's going to win the Royal Rumble.
Who will be the one? Why, the one Billy Gunn, of course.
The one Billy Gunn, of course.
Yeah. Son of a bitch. Well, it was at this point, speaking of continuity, where The Rock comes across one of the biggest threats to win the Royal Rumble, Crash Holly, apparently. The Rock hits him with a DDT and chucks him right over the top rope in no time at all. So, good promo. Good promo. But number 26, well, it's the large performance. And this is Jerry Lawler's pick, his second pick. The large
apparently the only one who is a threat to The Rock in this match.
It's Crash Holly, right?
Yes, but thankfully he was limited.
No, he already tossed Crash Holly, right? So the Big Show is no threat at all. But immediately, the large performance tosses out Test and Gangrel within a 10-second span. Test would last about 26 minutes, I want to say, almost half an hour.
26 minutes.
Yes, for sure. There is a, say what you want about Bob Holly, but he took that big old Gorilla Press slam from Show like a champ. The Big Show must have superhuman strength, as Bob Holly weighs allegedly 400 pounds to do the Gorilla Press like
Very impressive feat of strength by Big Show there. Eliminating Holly. Next, you're going to tell me he eliminates the one Billy Gunn. That's impossible. Nobody can do that.
Well, not yet. Not yet. No, we'll get there. Number 27 is my illegitimate father, Bradshaw. He walks down to the ring, and again, the Mean Street Posse runs out to fuck with the Acolytes here. But Bradshaw immediately fights both of them off, and both Outlaws toss Bradshaw over the top rope. The Acolytes fight with the Posse on the way to the back because they're pissed off people who drink a lot. But it's a raw feud. It's a raw feud. The Acolytes and the Posse.
Bad night for the APA, honestly. Very bad night for them. They lose their tag team title match, and then the same faction pumps them out twice in the Royal Rumble match within the span of a minute.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. But number 28, Tomas, heavy favorite here. Who was it?
Kane.
Oh, yes.
Kane!
I've messed with you, boy. But I mean, Kane.
Undertaker, your brother's alive.
Paul Bearer wasn't on this show. What are we talking about here? Kane walks out there with his girlfriend at the time in kayfabe, Tori, who used to be the obsessed fan of Sable going into last WrestleMania. Now she's
who?
Tori. Yeah.
Who?
Tori. You don't know who Tori is?
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Not Tori Wilson?
I was about to say, like, nope, Tori Wilson was still in WCW at that point.
No, I don't even think Tori Wilson. I don't think Tori Wilson even debuted in WCW at the time. But, I mean.
Again, who?
Get out of here, you idiot. Kane immediately throws Val Venus out with a choke slam, and I gotta say, that was probably the loudest snap I've ever heard on a choke slam, and I don't know how they got that sound still to this very day. Like, I will go back and watch that specific moment, like, really dissecting it. I'm like, how in the hell did Kane and Val Venus get that loud of a snap on that choke slam? Like, it's still a mystery to me, just like Evolution is a mystery, but... You know, not much else goes on after, Kane gets in there. I mean, this is where you get the famous JR quote that you hear in all the by the numbers Ruthless Aggression video packages. The big red machine may whap them all out. He walks down to the ring as he's saying that. But number 29, as Kane is throwing out the train Prince Albert, it's going to be the Godfather. Speaking of trains, train.
And Godfather is wearing a jacket that says "Roll of Fatty."
Oh man! God bless the Godfather. Gotta love the Godfather.
I almost say you couldn't get away with that today, but what I'm talking about is almost a year after RVD gave Riddle blunt raps at WrestleMania.
WWE Hall of Famers, ladies and gentlemen, the Godfather and Rob Van Dam. But
exactly,
I will say there was a huge missed opportunity at this point. So Funaki runs down to the ring as most of the people are down. The Godfather is giving his entrance gimmick to his entourage for the evening, and I believe Funaki was tossed out this time by Al Snow. I want to say. Yeah, it was Al Snow.
Come on, Funaki, you're better than that to get eliminated by Al Snow.
Yeah, Funaki's been eliminated 4 times now. But as Funaki is eliminated, he lands right in front of the Godfather's female entourage there. They're wearing some very skimpy attire, let's just say that much. They did not do a gimmick where Funaki lands I don't know, Attitude Era. They missed it. So
exactly, they
missed the joke. They missed the joke. But the King, of course, will request Taka Michinoku's elimination shown on the replay one more time. And I mean, even though it hurt, Kai and Tai loved them in this match. They were so entertaining. But number 30, Tomas, is X-Pac, a heel, who is a big contender, I guess. So if he wins the Rumble,
the minute X-Pac came out, I was like, wow, what a very lackluster Royal Rumble this was.
And again, you gotta think about this though. Jericho was still on the rise. Kurt Angle had just debuted. He would become a big star by the end of 2000. Stone Cold Steve Austin was just getting his neck surgery. The Undertaker had just gotten hip surgery. So this is a chance for guys like Tazz and Rikishi and Boss Man all to step up in that stead. So your biggest competitors are left for the Final Four there. Basically, Big Show tosses out. There's a point where Billy Gunn eliminates his partner, the Road Dogg, and then Big Show is the one who tosses the one Billy Gunn. So there you go. Proving.
Damn.
Yeah. The Rock eliminates.
What a world we live in.
Yeah,
where the one Rock... Billy Gunn did not win the Royal Rumble.
Yes, The Rock eliminates Al Snow, by the way, and Al Snow lasted to the final 7. Just to recap, final 7, Al Snow, Tomas. Listen, if you thought it was bad that Shane McMahon lasted to the final 3 this year, Al Snow lasting to the final 7 is an atrocity. So
wait until it happens next year. Al Snow.
Oh boy,
comes back to the WWE.
Oh boy. So, yeah, your final 4 are Big Show, Kane, X-Pac, and The Rock. For some reason, the Outlaws pull Kane out from under the bottom rope. The Rock sends X-Pac into fucking orbit over the top rope. X-Pac lands back first on the concrete floor as the referees are all trying to break up Kane and the Outlaws fighting in the entryway. The referees do not see X-Pac get eliminated, so X-Pac can go right back in. Do you like this trope, Tomas?
I liked it when Steve Austin did it because it led to a controversial win. Excuse me.
No problem. Bless you.
Excuse me again. Thank you.
Yeah.
But it depends on how it's handled.
Mm-hmm.
Like, understood. I feel like they got away with Steve Austin, but I don't think they could do that again.
Nah, probably not so much, huh? But yeah, X-Pac was in their final 4. Kane and the Big Show have a nice little showdown. The Kane hits a nice enziguri and a scoop slam on Big Show. X-Pac, because the feud never seems to fucking end between those two, X-Pac hits a spinning heel kick on Kane, who goes flying over the top rope, and then the King's like, X-Pac's gonna win this thing, JR, and I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. I know it's gonna happen. No way it's gonna be Triple H and X-Pac at WrestleMania 2000. But Big Show, again, got to give Sean Waltman credit where it's due. He's so underrated. He should have been a surprise entrant in this year's Rumble, actually, from what I've been reading. But Big Show has X-Pac in a gorilla press, sends him flying out to the outside there. Two rough landings for X-Pac on the night, one from The Rock and one from the Big Show himself. So that's your final two, Tomas. You want to talk about this a little bit, Rock and Big Show?
Rock and Show are the final two, and the way they were telegraphing it, of course, it's going to be this.
Yeah, that's what they were building.
And then comes a very controversial spot, which to this day, I can't tell if the finish of this turned into a shoot or if it was a work all along. Mm-hmm. You get into that classic spot where Big Show puts Rock on his shoulders. He goes to fling the Rock out of the ring, but Rock is able to put Big Show in a head scissors, hold on to the top ropes, and fling Big Show out of the ring. But here's the thing. As Rock was coming down, his feet hit the floor first.
Yeah.
So technically,
sure did.
Big Show won this Royal Rumble, but they played it off as it was nothing.
Rocky,
the Rock wins
Rocky.
the 2000 Royal Rumble as he guaranteed to do.
Damn right.
After the match, Jerry Lawler does point out, like, did Rock's feet hit the floor first? They ignored it. Big Show rushes back into the ring and gets his heat back by throwing the Rock out of the ring. And how do you feel about this? Do you think this was a shoot, or was this always supposed to happen just to get Big Show into the main event?
It might have been. Actually, honestly, I feel like it'd be giving them like too much discredit if I'm saying it was a botch, but might have just been a work the whole time. And The Rock actually did make a joke about that like 16 years later when him and the Big Show were backstage, and he's like, the guy who cast me in the Scorpion King was watching that Royal Rumble and said, the winner is going to be the Scorpion King. And then The Rock is like, I agree. You should have won the Rumble. And I'm like, fuck. Like, just rub it into the large performance's face a little more. Why don't you? But, yeah, I mean, that was a big feud going into the road to WrestleMania around this point. This is the only Royal Rumble The Rock will ever win. So, I mean, as my favorite superstar of all time, I mean, it had to be The Rock, you know, because Austin was out. So, I mean, it's a thumbs up Rumble for me. I don't know about you. I had fun with it.
And the reason why I'm saying an excuse to get Big Show into the main event, and like we were alluding to earlier, this would lead into one of the worst main events in WrestleMania history. A 4 quarters match for the WWF Championship with Mankind, Triple H, Big Show, and The Rock, with a McMahon in each corner. I believe Vince was in Rock's corner.
He was.
Stephanie was in Triple H's corner. Shane was in Big Show's corner. And Linda was in Foley's corner. So
they sure were.
All of this did turn into that. But overall, this Royal Rumble was fun. The WWF Championship match, easily the match of the night. We had a fun tables match, an all right tag team match. The triple threat match was there.
What would you rate it then?
Match, it was fun. It was a fun Rumble match, but nothing really to write home about. There's definitely better.
Yeah.
Overall, I think I would still give it a solid 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, the whole show. Wow. You know, I feel like I'm a lot more generous. I'm going 9. I think this is one of the more
9. Okay.
Yeah, this is one of the more memorable, iconic Royal Rumbles of all time, in my opinion. The opening contest is a hell of a lot of fun, even though it was very short. Tag team table match was fucking brutal. One of the more underrated tag team matches of all time, I think. IC title match, I mean, I feel like I like it more than most other people do. Of course, you have that meh tag team title match, but I think the WWF title match and, you know, just the fact that it's the Royal Rumble match at the main event and it's fun. You know, the Royal Rumble match is always fun unless you're Shane McMahon ruining it. But, you know, it's top tier. Top tier for me. Top tier Attitude Era. One of the more memorable shows from my childhood, at least. But, my friends, as always, the ZNT Wrestling Show is bringing you fun wrestling content just like this on the regular. And we will be putting up another poll to substitute for Elimination Chamber this year. So, stay tuned for that poll coming out, you know, shortly, actually, you know, shortly after this video
comes out. Not only that, just to jump ahead a little more, because I feel like we don't have a lot going on in February. We will be reviewing AEW Revolution.
Yeah, Revolution is
Revolution. Thank you.
Revolution is March 6th, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was I was sitting there just thinking, I'm like, oh shit, Full Gear just happened. Double or Nothing isn't until May. It has to be Revolution.
Revolution, yep. So look out for that at the beginning of the month of March. Lots of stuff that you can look forward to. We're going to be continuing our Ruthless Aggression retrospective with Unforgiven 2003, which I know Tomas is very excited for because of a specific match involving Kane and Shane McMahon. But
Kane and Shane. Kane and Shane.
That's fucking right. Yeah. But yeah, hit that subscribe button as hard as you possibly can and that thumbs up on your way out. It would mean the world. We are closing in on 1,000 subscribers somehow, some way. You guys all did that. You guys are the ones to thank. And, you know, honestly, I'm blown away still. But yeah, that's about it from us, guys. Stay tuned for more exciting content hitting this channel very, very soon. Commence that back talk. See you guys for the next one.